So just when you thought that your 4-week-old baby is feeling better, settling in, doing okay, they may be getting a little fussy this week. Let's talk about your baby week 4. I am Dr. Nkirika. I'm a pediatrician. I am an ear doctor, and I'm also a mom of 3. By week 4, some babies are settled and doing okay, but also by towards end of week 3 and 4, some babies get more fussy because this is when colic sets in. Colic is a phenomenon, something we're not sure what happens exactly to newborns, and some say it might be due to feeding intolerance, it might be due to gas, it might be due to their whole system, figuring out the whole wiring of their what we call the gastrointestinal tract, but we're really not certain what causes colic. We usually describe colic as rule of 3s, but it happens around the 4 weeks as well. It means that your baby starts crying around the 3 to 4 week age, cries like 3 hours a day with nothing making them feel better, no soothing, no feeding does not make them feel better, and may happen about 3 times a week. And this is really distressing because it seems like your baby who has been feeding okay, your baby who's been sleeping okay, wakes up at random times of the day, usually at the same times of the day every day, and cries for long duration, and nothing you do makes them feel better. You can do some things that may make them feel better. Infant belly massages, bath time, swaddling, soothing. In some scenarios, all these things you can do may not necessarily make them feel better, and it may just be giving them time. And your baby is a gassy baby, it might actually get worse, or maybe the colic might get worse because then they get gassy from eating, they cry a lot and swallow a whole lot more gas. You can actually try what we call simethicone. They work by breaking down the gas and make your baby either fart it out or poop it out, and it works so much better than gripe water. That's the stress of colic. Your 4-week-old newborn is probably getting into a more scheduled feeding now if they were not by week 3, whether they're breastfeeding exclusively, combining it with formula or doing formula only, they're probably more established. Because your baby is well established in feeding, you also expect your baby to be gaining weight as well. If they're not gaining weight, is also a concern. I don't expect your baby to go from like birth weight to like 3 times at this point, but you expect them to be gaining at least 25 grams a day, especially if they're feeding okay. As an ear doctor, week 4 is also one that I'm excited about because this is when they're getting out of the window of the bubble they were really concerned about their fever. Babies who are beyond 28 days are still considered delicate when it comes to fever and infection, and we still recommend that getting them seen, but we're not so concerned about them then that we're recommending doing a lumbar puncture, which is what we usually do when they're younger. So I still recommend your baby get seen for a fever, but it also excites me that they're getting developed, they're growing, they're not as delicate as what we think they were before. By week 4, your baby is also getting ready for their second appointment or 1-month appointment. Of course, if your baby was not gaining weight during the 2 weeks appointment, I talked about that in your baby week 2, they may have seen you closely. But if they're gaining adequate weight, they're going to be seen again at 1 month, and they're going to be weighed and also evaluated to see everything going on. In week 2, I talked a little bit briefly about why it's important to have like a log of questions you want to ask before your appointment. Our parental brains can take just a little bit as much, and you don't want to forget anything. Sometimes I keep a log on my phone. I actually created a log for like newborn log where I have like questions, feeding log, sleeping log, how much they're taking. And as much as I didn't have this when I had my baby, I knew it would be important for parents. So you can have that and use that to log and also having questions you might ask during your visit. That usually makes us not forget the important things we want to ask in the middle of the night when things just kind of pop up. During that visit, your baby's weight is going to be weighed and compared to what it was before. And we're just going to do a calculation of see how they're trending on their weight pattern. I don't expect your baby to weigh the same thing baby A or baby B weighs. I want your baby to be gaining weight along their whole, what we call their curve, and not going down the curve. We want to make sure they're healthy. We want to make sure they're feeling okay. And we want to make sure there's no metabolic abnormalities that is preventing your baby from gaining weight. It is possible that at the 1-month visit, they're going to be discussing immunizations because your baby will be due for immunizations based on the location you leave by 2 months. So this is in preparation. Explain what to expect. Explain what's going to happen when your baby comes back next. So don't be surprised if that question comes up. If it does not, you can actually ask your regular pediatrician about immunizations if you're interested in your baby having their immunizations by then. For you as a parent, you were probably getting ready for your OB 4 to 6 weeks appointment checkup, especially if everything went on well after delivery and you didn't need to go in between. You're probably getting ready for an appointment. But most importantly, You can also take your baby for a walk. As they get older, their immune system is getting settled and building properly. So you can take them out to get a walk. It is always a good way for you to clear your mind, get your baby, get used to the environment, but also doing it safely. Depending on the weather, it's always preferable to go outside to the field and a park where there's a lot of space, where you and your little one they're not exposed to other people where they can get sick. Remember, they're not vaccinated, their immune system is not well developed. And even though it's great for you guys to get air, you may want to avoid places that are crowded, especially during the holiday seasons, like the shopping malls or the grocery stores, and stick with places that are open. Of course, if you have an older sibling, this is probably something that you may have done before, taking the baby out with the sibling for the sibling to go get exercise or some walk. But remember, these little ones are always very excited about their baby and their newborn sibling, but make sure they wash their hands before they touch the baby. If they're also sick, you want to wipe them off as much as possible, prevent them from kissing the baby, because we don't want the baby to get sick, because based on their age, they're not able to tolerate, or they can get a little bit sicker compared to those that are older. In summary, by week 4, we expect a more feeding, peeing, pooping settled, but a little more fussiness. But I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments, how did your baby's week 3, and how comments, your likes, and your subscriptions always helps me keep this video going. I like to hear from you. Every baby, every family dynamic is different. And as much as I see and talk about these things, I'm probably missing out a lot of things. And your experience you shared in the comments is going to help the other parent know what to expect. And it is always very helpful. So don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in week 5.